After betraying my marriage, I came home to find my wife unconscious in the yard, held by another man, only to uncover a horrifying truth behind it all. The brake lights reflected off the wet pavement as I pulled onto Maple Street after 2 months in Chicago. October in the suburbs always looked the same. Pumpkins on porches, leaves turning copper, that specific slant of afternoon light that made everything feel both nostalgic and suffocating. 2 months ago, I'd driven away from this street thinking I needed space, thinking the problem was Anna, thinking if I just had time to clear my head, everything would make sense. Instead, I'd spent 63 days in Linda Torres's bed in a studio apartment that smelled like takeout and regret, telling myself it didn't mean anything. Then Anna showed up at my door 3 days ago. She didn't scream, didn't throw things, didn't make a scene in front of Linda or the neighbors who were definitely watching through their blinds. She just stood there in the hallway with her overnight bag still packed, staring at me and Linda with these hollow, gutted eyes that made my stomach drop 6 floors down. "Anna, wait!" She'd turned and walked away. Didn't run. Didn't slam the door. Just left. I thought she'd cool off. Thought we'd talk it through. 4 years of marriage had to mean something, right? We'd survived worse. The miscarriage that wasn't really a miscarriage because she'd never told me she was pregnant. The abortion from before we met that she'd finally admitted to after my mother kept asking about grandchildren. The endless, grinding arguments about whose fault it was that we couldn't conceive. Now I was driving home to fix this mess, because that's what you do. You fix things. You make it right. I parked 2 houses down from 2847 Maple. Our house, the one with the blue shutters Anna had insisted on painting herself 3 summers ago. The yard needed mowing. Dandelions had taken over the side garden where she'd tried to grow tomatoes. Her silver Camry sat in the driveway, passenger side still dented from when she'd backed into the mailbox last April. Everything looked normal, expected, safe. Then I saw her on the front porch. Anna was sweeping. She always swept when she was anxious. This repetitive, almost meditative motion that drove me crazy because why couldn't she just sit still for 5 minutes? She wore my old Northwestern sweatshirt, the gray one with the hole in the left sleeve, and her dark hair was pulled back in that messy bun she did without thinking. For half a second, I let myself believe it would be okay, that I'd walk up those steps, say the right words, and she'd forgive me, that we'd go inside and talk it through like adults, that our marriage was stronger than my 2-month mistake. Then she swayed. It happened so fast. One moment she was sweeping, the next the broom was clattering to the porch floor, and her knees were buckling like someone had cut her strings. "Anna!" I was already running, keys still in my hand, but someone beat me to her. Michael Chen, from 2849, the architect with the perfect lawn and the Tesla, came out of absolutely nowhere, sprinting across his grass like he'd been watching for this, like he'd been waiting. He caught her before she hit the ground, cradling her against his chest with both arms wrapped around her waist, my wife, in another man's arms, her head against his shoulder, his hands on her. Something hot and primitive exploded in my chest. "Let go of her!" I shoved Michael aside harder than I meant to, grabbing Anna from him. Her body was dead weight, her eyes closed, her breathing shallow. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" Michael's face went dark, not angry, something deeper, disgusted. "What am I doing? Where were you? That's my wife." "Really?" His voice dripped with contempt. "Because you've been in Chicago screwing your coworker while Anna's been here alone. Don't talk to me about your wife." The world tilted. "How do you—" She told me everything when she came back from Chicago crying. Michael stepped closer, and I could see the contempt radiating off him. 4 years blaming her for not getting pregnant when you refused to even get tested. Then you bail to Chicago and cheat on her. You're a piece of work, Daniel. Anna stirred in my arms. Her eyes fluttered open. Those dark brown eyes I'd fallen in love with 7 years ago at the Northwestern alumni mixer, now looking at me like I was a stranger. "Put me down." I held her tighter. "Baby, you fainted. Let me help." I said, "Put me down." Her voice was ice water, controlled, final. I set her on her feet. She swayed again and Michael's hand shot out to steady her elbow. That touch, that easy, automatic touch, like he had every right, made me want to break something. "Stay away from my wife." "Your wife?" Michael actually laughed, this bitter, humorless sound. "You abandoned her. I've been taking her to doctor appointments twice a week, grocery shopping when she's too exhausted to drive, fixing the sink you said you'd repair before you left 2 months ago." My chest tightened. "Doctor appointments? What doctor appointments?" "Anna, are you sick?" She pulled her arm away from both of us. "Go inside, Michael. Thank you for everything." "Anna, you don't have to—" "Please." He shot me one last disgusted look, the kind of look you give someone who kicked a dog, before heading back to his perfect house with his perfect life, where he definitely wasn't ruining his marriage. I turned to Anna. "What's going on? What doctor appointments?" She walked toward the house without answering. I followed her inside. The living room looked exactly the same. Same gray couch we'd bought at IKEA, same coffee table table with the water ring I'd made with my beer bottle during the Super Bowl. Same wedding photo above the couch, showing us laughing on the beach in Cancun. But there were new things too. Prescription bottles on the coffee table, a stack of medical documents, a CVS bag with the receipt still attached. Anna, talk to me. What's wrong? What appointments? She picked up an envelope from the kitchen counter and held it out without looking at me. Sign these. What is it? Divorce papers. I filed them yesterday with McCarthy and Associates downtown. You'll need to respond within 30 days, or the court grants them by default. The room tilted. My vision went fuzzy at the edges. No, Anna, I know I messed up, but we can fix this. I love you. You should have thought about that before, Linda. It was a mistake. I was stressed and lonely, and you blamed me for 4 years. Her voice cracked, the first sign of real emotion breaking through that icy control. Every single time your mother called asking about babies, you looked at me like I was defective, like my past broke me, like I was the reason you didn't have what you wanted. I never said that. You didn't have to. Tears started rolling down her cheeks, but her voice stayed steady, professional almost, like she'd practiced this. You refused to get tested yourself when Dr. Morrison suggested it, refused to go to couples counseling when I begged you. Then you took that Chicago transfer, which we both know you requested, and left me here alone for 2 months, and you cheated. I know, okay? But we can work through this. We can go to therapy. I'll transfer back permanently. We'll figure everything out together. Please. She laughed, this awful, broken sound that didn't sound anything like her real laugh. You want to work through this now? After everything? Yes, I'll do anything. Whatever you need. It's too late. It's not. We've been together 7 years, married for 4. That has to mean something. We can start over, have the family we always wanted. The family I always wanted. She wiped her eyes with the sleeve of my sweatshirt. You just wanted someone to blame. That's not true, isn't it? Every negative pregnancy test, every failed cycle, every time I suggested we see a specialist together, you found an excuse. It was always easier to blame me. I grabbed her hands. They were cold. Sign the papers, Daniel. No, I won't lose you. We'll do therapy. Real therapy. Not just the one session we tried. I'll transfer back home next week. We'll see a fertility specialist together. Get tested properly. We'll figure out the baby thing. I'm pregnant. Everything stopped. The refrigerator hummed. A car passed outside. Someone was mowing a lawn 3 houses down. What? I'm pregnant. 8 weeks. It's yours. Joy exploded in my chest for exactly 1 second. Pure, overwhelming, everything I ever wanted joy. Then I saw her face. No happiness, no relief, just exhaustion, resignation, grief. I found out the day before I drove to Chicago, she continued in that same flat, professional voice. August 29th, Dr. Patricia Chen confirmed it at Midwest Women's Health. I was going to surprise you. I bought a onesie that said, "Made in Chicago," and packed a bottle of champagne. I was so happy, Daniel. So stupidly happy. My legs gave out. I sank onto the couch, my hands shaking. Instead, she continued, I knocked on your apartment door at 6 p.m., and Linda answered wearing your shirt. Anna, I'm having a baby. The baby you said we needed. The baby you blamed me for not giving you. And I found out while watching you ruin our marriage. This is amazing. We're having a baby. You're having a baby. I'm having my baby. Alone. No, please don't do this. She dropped the envelope in my lap. The papers inside were thick, official. I could see the law firm letterhead through the manila. McCarthy and Associates, family law specialists. Michael paid my hospital bills when I fainted last week, Anna said quietly. $6,000 for the ER visit, the ultrasound, the blood work. $6,000 because my insurance doesn't kick in until I'm employed for 3 months at the new job I started in September. The job I had to take because you stopped depositing money into our joint account in July. The room spun. I'll pay him back. I'll transfer it right now. I don't want your money. I want you to sign those papers and leave. I looked down at the envelope. The papers inside felt impossibly heavy. This couldn't be happening. Not now. Not when we finally had what we wanted. This is what you wanted, isn't it? She whispered. You wanted me to be the problem. Well, congratulations, Daniel. You finally get to be right. She walked to the bedroom and closed the door. I sat there holding divorce papers for the child I'd spent 4 years waiting for, and the wife I'd destroyed us to blame. Day 2. I didn't sign the papers. I slept on the couch that night, listening to Anna cry through the bedroom door. Every sob felt like a knife. Around 2 a.m., I heard her get sick in the bathroom. Morning sickness, I guess. Though it was the middle of the night, I wanted to knock, ask if she needed anything, but the bedroom door was locked. Morning came gray and cold. Anna emerged at 7:30 wearing scrubs, navy blue with tiny white flowers. I'd forgotten she'd taken that job at Riverside Pediatrics. She'd mentioned it in a text I'd barely responded to. You're still here, she said flatly. We need to talk. No, you need to sign the papers and leave. Anna, please, just give me 5 minutes. She poured coffee into a travel mug, the one I'd bought her last Christmas with "World's Best Wife" printed on it. The irony made me sick. I have work at 8. I'm a medical assistant now. Did you know that? I finished my certification in in July. Started at Riverside in September. You never asked. I'm asking now. Too late. She grabbed her keys. The locks change next week. I scheduled it with Anderson Security. They're coming Tuesday at 9 a.m. If you're not out by then, your things will be on the lawn. You can't just kick me out of my own house. Our house, she turned to face me, which I've been paying the mortgage on since July when you stopped contributing. Check the bank records if you don't believe me. I kept every receipt, every statement. My lawyer has copies. Your lawyer, Robert McCarthy and Associates. He's been practicing family law for 19 years. He also specializes in infidelity cases. Her voice was clinical. Turns out, Illinois is a no-fault divorce state, but documented adultery still affects asset distribution and custody. Linda Torres from Unit 4B of the Oakbrook Apartments was very memorable to your doorman. Time-stamped entry logs are admissible in court. My stomach dropped. You investigated me? I protected myself, like you should have protected our marriage. She walked out. I sat there in our kitchen, the kitchen where we'd had our first real fight about paint colors, where we'd made breakfast together every Sunday, where I'd proposed a second time just because and tried to process what was happening. She had a lawyer, a real lawyer, with a real case, and she was pregnant with my baby. Our baby. I grabbed my phone and called the first attorney I found on Google, Hoffman and Partners, Family Law. The receptionist put me through to Stephen Hoffman himself, 42 years in practice, according to his website. His voice was gravelly and skeptical. Mr. Richardson, tell me what's going on. I explained everything. The Chicago transfer, Linda, coming home to find Anna fainting, the divorce papers, the pregnancy, silence on the other end. Mr. Hoffman, son, I'm going to be straight with you. You're in a bad position, but she's pregnant with my child. That has to count for something. Illinois is a no-fault state. The pregnancy complicates custody, but not the divorce itself. And if she can prove you committed adultery while abandoning marital assets, he sighed. Did you stop contributing to household expenses? I was paying for my apartment in Chicago. I didn't think that's abandonment of marital obligations. Combined with documented infidelity, she has grounds for a favorable settlement. How much documentation does she have? She mentioned doorman logs, entry records. That's admissible. What about your income? I'm a senior analyst at Carver Financial. Base salary is $140,000 plus bonus. And her income? She just started as a medical assistant, maybe $35,000. So you're the primary earner who abandoned the household to conduct an affair, stopped paying bills, and now she's pregnant. Mr. Richardson, if she has a good lawyer and McCarthy is excellent, you're looking at paying spousal support, child support once the baby's born, possibly her legal fees, and losing a significant portion of marital assets. The room started closing in. But I want to fix things. I want my wife back. I want to be there for my child. That's admirable. But wanting something doesn't make it legally relevant. Your wife filed for divorce. She has grounds. Unless she withdraws the petition, how do I make her withdraw it? Another sigh. You can't make her do anything. This isn't a negotiation anymore. It's a legal proceeding. My advice? Sign a temporary custody agreement acknowledging paternity, agree to spousal support, and start divorce mediation. Otherwise, this goes to court and gets ugly. I don't want a divorce. Neither did she, I imagine. Until you gave her one. He gave me his fee structure, $400 an hour, $5,000 retainer, and told me to call back when I was ready to proceed. I sat in my car outside our house and tried to breathe. This was real. This was actually happening. Day 4. I tried everything. Flowers delivered to Riverside Pediatrics. She left them in the break room with a note that said, free to good home. Text messages explaining, apologizing, begging, all red receipts turned off. Showing up at her work, security escorted me out after she filed a complaint about harassment. I was losing her, losing everything. That's when Michael knocked on my car window. I'd been parked outside the house for 2 hours, trying to figure out what to say, when he appeared at my driver's side door, looking like he wanted to drag me out onto the pavement. You need to leave, he said. This is my house. Not anymore. Anna called me crying after you showed up at her work. You're harassing her. I'm trying to save my marriage. You didn't give a damn about your marriage for 2 months in Chicago. Now you care? He stepped back. Leave her alone, Daniel. You've done enough damage. Who do you think you are? Her bodyguard? Her friend, which is more than you've been. Oh, I'm sure you're just being friendly. The words came out bitter, ugly. Paying her bills, driving her to appointments. What do you want, Michael? Think you'll swoop in and play hero? His face went hard. I'm married, you idiot. Happily married for 12 years to someone who actually respects me. I helped Anna because that's what decent people do. You should try it. He walked away before I could respond. I sat there, feeling about 2 inches tall. Day 7. The pregnancy complications started on day 7. Anna called me from Riverside ER at 3 a.m. Her voice was small, scared. I'm bleeding. I drove 90 miles an hour and prayed to a God I wasn't sure I believed in. She was in room 7, hooked up to monitors, her face paper white. Dr. Patricia Chen stood beside her bed, early 40s, kind eyes, ID badge that said OBGYN, Midwest Women's Health, 15 years. Mr. Richardson, she gestured to the hallway. May I speak with you? We stepped outside. Your wife is experiencing what we call a subchorionic hemorrhage. It's relatively common in early pregnancy. About 25% of pregnant women have them. Most resolve on their own, but Anna's is moderate and causing significant bleeding. My hands started shaking. Is the baby okay? Currently, yes. Heartbeat is strong at 157 beats per minute, but Anna needs complete bed rest for at least 2 weeks. No stress, no physical exertion. She also needs someone with her at all times in case the bleeding worsens. I'll be there, whatever she needs. Dr. Chen's expression changed. Mr. Richardson, I need to be frank with you. Anna's blood pressure has been elevated for weeks. She's showing signs of significant emotional stress, which isn't good for her or the baby. I've recommended she see Dr. James Foster, a therapist who specializes in maternal mental health, but she needs stability, safety, peace. The implication hung between us. You're saying I'm making her worse. I'm saying she needs support right now, not additional stress. I'm her husband. Are you? She looked at me steadily, because she listed Michael Chen as her emergency contact. Not you. That hurt worse than anything else. I went back into the room. Anna was staring at the ceiling, both hands pressed to her stomach like she could protect the baby through sheer will. Anna, she didn't look at me. Dr. Chen says you need bed rest, complete bed rest. I'll move back in. I'll work from home. I'll do whatever you need. No, you need someone there. Michael has his own family, his own life. Let me help, please. Finally, she looked at me. You want to help? Yes, anything. Sign the divorce papers, give me the house, set up child support, and disappear. I can't do that. Then you can't help me. She turned away. Michael already said he and Jennifer will take turns checking on me. Jennifer's a nurse. She's better qualified than you anyway. Jennifer, Michael's wife. The woman I'd accused him of trying to replace with Anna. I felt about as low as a person could feel. I'm not giving up on us, I said quietly. There is no us anymore. You made sure of that when you slept with Linda. I know, and I'll regret it every day for the rest of my life. But that baby, my voice cracked, that baby is ours, mine and yours, and I want to be there. I want to be a father. Then be a father from a distance, because I can't look at you without remembering what you did. Day 12. The court summons arrived on day 12. Petition for emergency restraining order. Filed by Anna Richardson, petitioner. Against Daniel Richardson, respondent. Judge, Honorable Margaret Walsh, Family Court Division. My lawyer called immediately. Daniel, what the hell did you do? Nothing. I haven't even been near her. She filed an emergency petition claiming harassment and emotional distress. Says you've been parked outside the house multiple times, showed up at her workplace, sent dozens of unwanted messages. She attached phone logs, screenshots, and a sworn statement from her doctor. I was trying to talk to her. You were stalking her. And now Judge Walsh is reviewing it. If granted, you can't go within 500 feet of Anna, your house, or her work. Do you understand how bad this is? I understood. I understood I'd lost control of everything. Day 14. The hearing was set for Thursday at 2 p.m. I showed up in my best suit, freshly shaved, armed with my own lawyer, Stephen Hoffman, looking skeptical and expensive. Anna sat across the courtroom with Robert McCarthy, 60-ish, silver hair, three-piece suit that probably cost more than my car payment. She wore a simple navy dress, minimal makeup, her hands folded in her lap. She looked small, fragile, pregnant. Judge Margaret Walsh, 50 years old, 23 years on the bench according to the plaque on her desk, reviewed the documents with the kind of careful attention that made my palms sweat. Mr. Richardson, she said finally, Mrs. Richardson has filed a petition for an emergency order of protection based on the following: 17 instances of you parking outside the marital residence for extended periods, 3 visits to her place of employment after being asked to leave, 47 text messages in a 6-day period, and documented medical evidence that this behavior has contributed to complications in her high-risk pregnancy. Your Honor, I was trying to— I'm not finished. Her voice was ice. Dr. Patricia Chen submitted a sworn statement indicating that Mrs. Richardson's elevated blood pressure and stress-induced pregnancy complications correlate directly with increased contact from you. Do you dispute these facts? Stephen touched my arm. Your Honor, my client acknowledges his behavior may have been persistent, but his intentions— I don't care about his intentions, Mr. Hoffman. I care about Mrs. Richardson's safety and the health of her unborn child. She signed something. Order of protection granted. Mr. Richardson, you are hereby prohibited from contacting Anna Richardson directly or indirectly, from coming within 500 feet of her person or residence, and from entering her place of employment. This order remains in effect for 90 days pending divorce proceedings. Violation will result in immediate arrest. Am I clear? Yes, Your Honor, I whispered. Good. We're adjourned. Anna stood and walked out without looking at me once. I sat there in that courtroom and realized I'd lost everything that mattered. My wife, my home, my child. Day 30. The divorce mediation happened exactly 30 days after Anna filed. Conference room 4B at McCarthy & Associates, sleek glass glass table, uncomfortable leather chairs, and a mediator named Sarah Thornton, who looked like she'd seen every bad divorce story twice. Anna sat across from me with Robert McCarthy and a new person, a woman in her 30s with sharp eyes and a briefcase full of documents. "Daniel, this is Karen Mitchell," McCarthy said. "She's a forensic accountant we've brought in to review marital finances." My stomach dropped. "Why do you need an accountant?" Karen opened her briefcase. "Mr. Richardson, we've identified several financial irregularities during your time in Chicago. Between June 15th and September 2nd, you withdrew $28,000 from your joint savings account, moved $15,000 to a separate personal account, and made purchases totaling $4,300 at jewelry stores in the Chicago area." My face burned. Can you explain why none of those jewelry purchases appear in Mrs. Richardson's possession? Linda's necklace, the bracelet, the earrings I'd bought for her birthday. "I made mistakes. You embezzled marital funds to support an affair," McCarthy said flatly. "That's not a mistake. That's calculated deception. We're requesting full restitution of those funds, plus 70% of remaining marital assets, spousal support of $20,500 monthly, and pre-birth child support payments." "That's insane." "That's fair," Sarah Thornton said. "Mr. Richardson, you abandoned your marital residence, conducted an extended affair, misappropriated marital funds, and caused documented harm to your wife's health during a high-risk pregnancy. You're lucky Mrs. Richardson isn't pursuing criminal charges for financial misconduct." I looked at Anna. She sat perfectly still, her hands on her stomach, a stomach that was just starting to show now at 12 weeks. "Anna, please, we don't have to do this." She finally looked at me. "I'm not doing this to you, Daniel. I'm protecting myself and my baby from what you already did. Our baby, biologically yours, but you've given up every right to call yourself a father." "I haven't. I want to be there. You wanted a baby when it was convenient, when you could blame me for not having one. Now that I'm actually pregnant, it's not convenient anymore, is it? I'm sick, bleeding, on bed rest. Your son or daughter is causing complications. This isn't the perfect family photo you wanted." Her words hit like physical blows. "That's not true." "Isn't it? You left me the moment it got hard. You'll do the same to this child." "I won't. I swear I won't. I don't believe you." Sarah Thornton cleared her throat. "Let's address custody arrangements. Mrs. Richardson is proposing supervised visitation starting after the child is born, contingent on you completing a parenting course and family counseling." "Supervised? I'm not dangerous." "You violated an order of protection twice last week," McCarthy said. "Police reports from October 15th and 18th. Both times you were observed parked outside Mrs. Richardson's workplace." I had been, just sitting in my car, just wanting to see her. I wasn't trying to scare her. "You did anyway," Anna said quietly. "Every time I see your car, my heart rate spikes. Dr. Chen recorded it during my last appointment. 140 beats per minute. That's not healthy for the baby." I looked around the table, the mediator, the lawyers, the accountant, all of them looking at me like I was the villain. Maybe I was. "What do you want from me?" I asked. "Sign the papers," Anna said. "Accept the terms. Move out of the Chicago apartment. Yes, I know you're still there. Linda submitted a written statement confirming your continued residence, and leave us alone." "Us?" "Me and my baby. Not our baby. Not your baby. My baby." I signed the mediation agreement with shaking hands.